Hey, welcome back to the channel. Today, or actually yesterday, I went in and I corrected what I had showed you had happened here yesterday. And let me just grab a retract here. If you remember right, my drawing when I laid out the holes the first time didn't really match what was happening here with the actual landing gear. So I explained how I filled those in, and then now when the retract's in place, the oleo is actually centering up on the wheel well the way it's supposed to. And the way I did that is I just made a disc of the size of the well that I needed before sheeting, and then I just took a 1/8 inch or something that was close to 532. I think I used a tap over there, and I positioned it on the axle, and then just drew that out and cut it with my wire. And let me show you what I'm using here. I actually have it stuck in my vise. This is a great place to put it when you want it to cool down. Just drop it down in your vise like that. I picked this up on Amazon. It was actually pretty inexpensive, and it's been a phenomenal tool. You can see I've cut all of these all of the honeycombing that I did here on the wings. I did that with this, and actually you might actually like to see how that was done. So I'm going to go grab the templates. I'll be right back. All right, so these are the templates that I used, and how those worked. I just made those, made them out of poster board, and how they work out is let me show you. Grab this one here. You tape one on each side. I got them in position, just lined it up here with the leading edge, and with the tip. I kind of went just right off this front corner, and you actually just put some painter's tape along the edges around here, and then you tape one to the other side, the second one, and then the hot wire foam cutter, actually you just follow the template. It's against this one and the one that's taped on the other side, and it was really easy to work my way around and cut those out. So really cool way to do that, and it there was no way except for leaving the well, I suppose if you left the foam cutter in place too long, you might fry something and hog out a big hole, but not a problem if you just keep the thing moving. It's really easy. And this, let's see, I was gonna find my box. Yeah, so here's the box. It's Go Change electric foam cutting pin. Super cool. And yeah, I love when you can discover something like that that's not expensive and just works like it's supposed to. So yeah, cool. So let me show you, I'll show you something else that I worked on. The next step obviously is to get these get the wheel wells lined, and then where the oleo struts are laying into the foam here, to get this lined as well, and then I'll be ready to actually sheet these wings. So that's good news. So yeah, so let me put this box down, and then I'll show you what kind of how I dealt with the balsa that's going to line that wheel well. All right, sweet. All right, so what I did was I took some balsa that was vertical grained, and I just made myself a strip that was wide enough so that it would protrude on both sides of the wheel well, and then just found something that was close to the right diameter. It just happened to be my Type-On glue bottle was just slightly undersized is what I was looking for, and using an ace bandage, I just took the two sections and I wrapped them. First I soaked them in water for probably I think maybe they were in there for about an hour before I went and retrieved them, and so after I got those out of there, I wrapped them around the bottle side by side, and then I used the ace bandage. It's been sitting overnight. I kind of put it not on a heater vent, but kind of close to the heater, so I was pretty certain that it would dry. And it just took a couple wraps of the ace bandage around, and now we're in really good shape here because they're already in cylinders, and now I can drop these down in the hole and figure out where to cut them off at. Swap that. Yeah, so now you can see that I can just easily just drop them down in here, and I can get that position kind of against the bottom skin, and now I can figure out where I want to slice through both layers here to get a really nice fit inside there. And then once I get that in place, I'll show you how I'm going to handle that as it dries, and then after that it'll just be sanding these smooth with the top and bottom wing surface, and then we'll be ready to sheet these babies. So it always seems like it takes a lot of work to get to the point where you actually get to sheet them, but anyway, that's how that went, and I'll get this marked and trimmed off, and you can see I've got have more than enough material so that I can get it where it's going to fit in there really nice, and I'll make it just a little bit oversized so that I can sand it until I get a nice joint down inside there. So, and I can feel that the ace bandage actually was protecting this from drying a little bit where the double layers are, so maybe more than 10 hours or 12 hours, however long it's been. I could have gone a little bit longer, but it's all good. I'm gonna use Type-On anyway to put this in with, so it's gonna re-wet this, so to speak. Anyhow, yeah, so I'm gonna get this trimmed and in place, and then we can move on. when I'm sanding, I like to make a reference line, because it's hard to tell sometimes with balsa, you know, like, am I taking more off one side or another? So anytime I'm going to sand an edge like this, I'll just make a reference line like this, and that way I can see that I'm sanding square to that line, and I don't lose track of whether or not I'm getting off. Even if I'm not going to sand all the way to it, at least it's there as a nice reference point. And use my T-bar here, because then I can let this balsa rest on the back side. I won't take any off of that. You know, I don't know if these are still available or not, but if you can find them, these are the best tools I have. You can see that I was using this actually to cut that edge, and I like, anytime I'm cutting an edge too with balsa, I'll grab one of these T-bars, because when you place it down, because of the sandpaper on there, it doesn't move, and it gives you a really nice grip as well. So you don't have, if you just use a ruler, sometimes you know how you can get toward the end and it wants to slide on you. These don't do that, and I've got 3 sizes. I've got basically the 6 and the 11 and the whatever this one is, 33, and they're just real valuable tools for my shop. So anyway, gonna sand this down here. Now we've got a really nice fit. So just took my time and didn't take too much off. And I'm gonna come up here. Now to save a lot of sanding later and risk sanding into the foam, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to make a register mark where the seam is on the foam. So that's going to go right there. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to actually go ahead and make a mark around here. And I'm going to flip over and I'm going to do the same on the other side. Alright, so now we can pop that out of there, and then we're gonna cut these close to these lines before we put it back in. And that'll be all material that we don't have to take off later when it's actually glued in there. So let's set this aside a second. I'm just going to use a little saw blade. This one happens to be a gyros blade, and it comes in handy a lot, especially with things like this. It's kind of hard to cut that with an X-Acto knife since it's all going across the grain, and maybe I did show you that the grain's all vertical. That's what allows the balsa to bend really easily in that circle. So I'll just cut this off. Let's get some juice. All right, we'll give this a go here. All right, so now I'm ready to show you how how we're going to attach this wheel well balsa ring inside the tube. And like I said earlier, we're going to use Typon 3. Any Typon really will do just fine. Eventually, this will get glued to the sheeting as well, so that's where it'll get the majority of its strength from. But I'm just going to take and I'm going to put a liberal amount of, well, I didn't really mean liberal. It's not going to take a lot to really get this attached in there, and you don't have to fill all the voids in the foam. It'll make enough contact all the way around where it won't really matter. So there'll be plenty. So I'm just going to get a good coat. Just going to work that down this direction. I like using this for applications like this because you know, the majority of this is going to evaporate, and it's a lot lighter than if I was to coat this with epoxy. So you could even do this with you know, with white glue if that's what you have on hand. Elmer's glue, anything like that would be perfectly acceptable. And I'll put a little bit on the joint. And I've got my top marked right there, so that's where this is going to go. So I'm just going to pull this in here. We're going to get that in position. Alright, that's pretty close. Then, get that off my hands real quick. We're going to take a balloon, believe it or not. I would like to say that I was the brilliant one who came up with this, but I actually read it in the instructions for this for the Boxer, and so. But I thought it was a genius idea, and it just, you know, goes to show you that, you know, those who've gone before us in this hobby, they just did some pretty creative things. So and trying to figure out exactly how much I want to blow it up. That's probably about right. If not, we can come back. All right. And then we're going to take that and we're going to put that in the hole. Just kind of compress it and push it down. One of the things I'm noticing right away is where I thought my gap was going to be. I've actually got more gap than I thought I was going to have. I've got, yeah, but I can fill that in later. So just compress the balloon, put it through. So it's about halfway. I'm just going to make sure that I've got it positioned where I want it. And that looks great. And now we just let that sit there for the glue to dry, probably about an hour or so. That should be good. And then I can move on to the next step, which will be to fill in the kind of where the gear legs come through. I'll fill those with, line those with balsa, and then we're ready to sheet. And I've actually already have a channel that goes through the bottom of the wheel well for the Retract, Retract, yeah. That's funny. The Retract lead, basically the servo lead. I kept wanting to say servo, but it's a Retract, but it has a servo in it. And then I've got a channel here that I cut with my same foam cutting device for the cable for the aileron servo. And yeah, I know I didn't show you this, but I do something similar when I have a box like this. I just take some foam rubber like this that compresses, and I actually had stuffed this down in the box when I put those in there and glued them in, and that helped force that out against the sides to get a good glue contact. And I feel really good about this. So I don't know if you can see, but I actually have like about maybe a 1/16 of an inch gap, even after I felt like I'd cut it slightly oversized. It wasn't oversized enough, obviously. Yeah, cool. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this video. I wanted to show you that technique. I'll move on and I'll get the second one in place so that can be drying. And thanks so much for checking out the video. I really do appreciate it. I hope you enjoy this. Hope you learned something along the way, and I hope that this inspires you to build something. You know, sometimes I think you know, scratch building is kind of a dying art, and I hope that through this channel I can encourage some people to pick it up and carry that torch. So anyway, I'll catch you later.